You remember public libraries, right? Before the internet and Google took over, they were the only real way to do research. Sure, flipping through dusty, old books might seem boring now, but there was something about it I miss, something tangible. Libraries weren't just a place for learning. They were sanctuaries of quiet, perfect for escaping the chaos of the world. They were also places where strange things sometimes happened. My fondest library memories come from the time I worked at one, just a bus stop away from home. It had the quintessential old library vibe, dim lighting, towering bookshelves, and that unmistakable musk of aging paper. Could be eerie, sure, but that only added to its charm. I loved my job there, until the night something happened that I still can't fully explain. It began innocently enough. I was shelving books in aisle 13 when I found a small stack left in the middle of the floor. I thought it was just kids fooling around. Rolling my eyes, I placed the books back and moved on. But when I circled back a few minutes later, there they were again, the same stack sitting in the exact same spot. This time, I assumed it was one of my coworkers playing a prank. But after a quick sweep of the library, I realized I was completely alone. It wasn't surprising. The library was about to close, and most people had already left. Still, unease prickled at the back of my mind. Shrugging it off, I reshelved the books again, locked up, and told myself it was nothing. Or so I tried. Just as I was about to leave, I heard it. A distinct thud, like books falling onto the floor. My first instinct was to ignore it and walk out the door. But I knew better. The last person on shift always got blamed for anything out of place the next morning, and I didn't want to deal with the scolding. With a deep breath, I headed back into the library. My footsteps echoed ominously as I walked toward aisle 13. Sure enough, the books were there again. A neat little stack in the middle of the aisle. The air felt colder now, and the hairs on my arms stood on end. This wasn't a prank. It wasn't a coincidence. Something about that aisle felt wrong. I should have left, but curiosity got the better of me. As I picked up the books, one caught my eye. I recognized it. The same old, leather-bound volume had been in the stack every single time. It was far older than the rest of the library's collection, and its title was written in a language I didn't recognize. I couldn't help myself. I opened it. The pages were brittle, filled with strange symbols and handwriting that made my head ache just looking at them. Then, I turned to a page that stopped me cold. It wasn't the text, it was the illustration. A single, hand-drawn image staring back at me. My chest tightened as a wave of dread washed over me. There was nothing overtly horrifying about the drawing, yet it clawed at something primal inside me. A face, grotesque yet familiar. Its eyes seemed to follow me, its expression shifting ever so slightly the longer I stared. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen, but the next thing I remember is slamming the book shut and bolting for the door. I locked it behind me without a second glance, leaving the library and whatever that thing was behind me. To this day, I can't explain what I saw. And if you're wondering what kind of picture could possibly be so horrifying, well, I'll let you imagine that for yourself.